All right, well, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for Internships 101. Make the most of your internship. The Internship 101 series is brand new. So like I said earlier, it is a small group of you who are joining us today. Definitely encourage your engagement with us in the chat. We are recording this. It will be uploaded to YouTube so that folks can watch it on demand. So any questions or comments that you add will only make the material better for those folks that watch this later on. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do some introductions. So my name is Alexis Rampal. I am the Internships and Talent Development Manager at the UCLA Career Center. I've been working at the Career Center for about 5 years. I serve multiple populations, so I'm a little bit employer facing, so I serve as a consultant to employers both on and off campus, providing them with consulting support on recruiting strategies, how to build and improve their internship programs, and also how to help develop students that are working for them. I also run the internship program in the Career Center, of which Vanchika, who will introduce herself shortly, is part of. And I just do a lot of things. So it's nice to meet you all. Welcome. Vanchika, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. My name is Vanchika Aurora. I'm a senior studying economics with a minor in film. I'm a career peer intern, as Alexis said, and I also interned virtually with EY this past summer in their assurance practice. Excited to have you guys and excited to kind of like discuss making the most of your internship with you.
Woohoo! All right. Okay, so today's event is part of a brand new, as I mentioned, Internship 101 series. These are all of the events included in that series. And so the first event that kicked it off was Internship Basics. Do not worry if you were not able to attend. It is live and uploaded onto YouTube. So I would recommend checking out. It's full of really helpful information. Successfully navigate your remote internship. We hosted one and I'm hosting a second one on the 18th of this month. That is the recording that will be uploaded to YouTube. So if you aren't able to attend that, just check back maybe about a week later. We try to upload all of the Career Center events on a weekly basis. Yes, today, make the most of your internship. And then finally is Internships 101 internship courses at UCLA, and that is in collaboration with the Center for Community Engagement. And we're really going to be talking about if you're choosing to seek credit for your internship, like why should you, beyond the credit, or if it's a requirement, like what are you going to get out of this? Why is it in your best interest? So that should be very exciting and fun, and I'm looking forward to it. These are all listed on Handshake, so go ahead and RSVP to them. We send out the deck as relevant to anyone who either RSVP'd and or joined the event. Yes, the recordings are uploaded. And if we share any specific resources, we'll either tell you like during the event where to locate them, or we'll also include links in that follow-up email to you. So no worries about taking notes or anything like that. We're gonna send this deck out to all of you. Again, just want to encourage folks that we want you to make the most of this. And so you don't need to wait until the end of this event. Please just, like Pranav did, like ask us questions. Vanchika is going to either respond if it's something easy, or she's gonna interrupt me and she's gonna ask the question on your behalf, and we'll respond to you in real time. All right. So Vanchika, you wanna engage our folks?
Yes, of course. So we kind of wanted to get a sense of our attendees today and like where you are in your internship process. So could you please drop in the chat like the letter for the option which applies to you? So A is my internship is ended, B, currently I'm interning. You have an internship lined up. Are you looking for your internship, or are you just exploring right now? Please drop your letter in the chat.
Thanks for that, Pranav. Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to implement that function of this Zoom webinar. I tried, but it wasn't accessible for me. So we're going old school. Drop a letter in the chat. We want to know, what is your status? All right. Yeah, and it can be more than one letter, absolutely. D and E.
Okay, so we have some people like looking for internships right now, people exploring their options. Oh, congratulations for the people who have internships.
Yes, that's so exciting. All right, so thank you so much for those of you that did respond to our little quick poll. It's helpful for Vanshika and I to know where folks are at. It can inform the way that we talk about some of the content. And just want to say that today's event is for anybody, no matter where you are, but especially if you have an internship coming up or you're still looking, this is perfect because you are collecting additional information that is only going to support you if and when you do get that internship so that you are set up for success. Okay, so perfect resource for our folks who are still looking, our internship curious, just kind of wanted to make sure we talked about this. Here are some really good tips for you for looking for internships. So of course, I'm gonna promote Handshake. Honestly, you all know that it exists. That's how most likely you found out about this event. So I'm not going to tell you to use it. What I am going to tell you to do is pro tips. So number one is make sure that your profile on Handshake is up to date, especially a lot of those questions that you were asked initially, like what industries are you interested in, like what size, what location, culture, values, all of those things, because the more that you either give Handshake that information or you keep it updated, the better Handshake algorithm is going to literally serve you up relevant opportunities of interest to you, and you won't have to do much work. The other thing I'll say is check Handshake frequently. Internships are being posted daily. Sometimes we get over 100 new jobs and internships added per day on Handshake. So check frequently. Increasingly, we're just seeing that there is no like specific time of year to look for internships. And so that's why we say search frequently. Of course, there are certain cycles that specific industries do follow, but generally there's almost always internships and companies recruiting for you all to join. So keep checking back. On LinkedIn, again, you know it exists. Hopefully, if you're not already on there, definitely encourage you to have your profile on there. But pro tips. So pro tip is follow companies that you're interested in. And then once you follow the company, go and click on people and search the title recruiters. And then you'll find people who work for that company who it's their job to hire interns. And so really what they're going to be doing is sharing on LinkedIn when their internship recruitment periods have started, because this is their job. And you can connect with them without actually sending a connection request by choosing to follow them. And so this requires no actual connection request, so you don't have to worry about that. Just follow them instead. And then you will see when they're sharing these out on LinkedIn. So that's a pro tip. Vanshika, any additional pro tips you want to share for Handshake or LinkedIn?
Just for LinkedIn, for the people who are like still exploring, LinkedIn is a wonderful place to connect with a UCLA alum, because there's a UCLA page on LinkedIn where you can see like people who still study there, people who've graduated from there. And it's also a great place to connect with, in addition to recruiters, professionals, to kind of like get a chance to chat with them, have informational interviews with them, especially if you're in the exploration stage, to kind of see what like job interests you.
Perfect. And then just a few other additional resources that we recommend is UCLA One. If you aren't aware of what that is, it is essentially UCLA's own LinkedIn. And so folks that are on there are current students and or alum, or folks that have some sort of direct relationship with UCLA, including myself. I'm not an alum of UCLA, but I work here, so I'm on UCLA One. So that's where you can go and also see alumni sharing opportunities to work either for them directly or for their companies, but also to seek out connections, professional development opportunities, and networking opportunities, as Vanchika mentioned. Departmental newsletters, if any of your departments do those, subscribe to them. A lot of times they are also including opportunities that they are aware of. Company information sessions, so those are still happening even though they're not happening in person. And so you can find those on Handshake. Super low risk, great, I would say high yield opportunity to directly connect with people that work for a company and learn about their recruitment timelines, how to stand out as an applicant, etc. And then lastly, if you're not already, join relevant UCLA clubs or organizations, especially those that are more aligned with your professional goals, because they also have like direct relationships with companies and oftentimes bring companies in to do info sessions, talk about opportunities, etc. So these are some, I would say, like easily accessible things that you can do to help support your search for internships. And then you see two logos on this slide. One says Parker Dewey and one says Forage. And so especially for my folks that are still seeking or said you're internship curious, these are sort of like pre-internship opportunities that I would say, hey, check these out if you're still like, I'm not sure if I want to do an internship, but I still want to get some work experience. So Parker Dewey is project-based, what they call micro internships. And so they're paid, which is good. And they should take about 10 to 40 hours to complete. You will be an independent contractor working for Parker Dewey, but your work and your feedback will come from the company that has listed their project on this website. The second is Forage, and those are simulated work experience programs. And so you're not working for the company, you're not doing actual work for the company, but you are seeing what it is like to do work that you would do there. And those should take you about 4 to 6 hours to complete. You can do them anonymously, or you can, and you can choose to do this towards the end. You can start it anonymously, and then when you're done, you can change. But you can opt in to submitting your work to the actual host company that provided the program. And a lot of times what we're seeing is that that results in you being invited to exclusive networking events or them just sharing with you other opportunities. So both of these can be accessed via Handshake. Click on Career Center and then resources, and you'll see these two logos there. So just some like pre-internship, low risk, like transitional steps that you can take that are also resume builders, skill builders, networking opportunities, etc. Is there anything that you'd like to add on this slide, Vanchika?
No, I think you've covered it. I'm going to drop the link in the chat for attendees to access resources on our website as well.
Yes, please do that. And also, like, if you're like me in your webinars, I have like the webinar open and then I have a bajillion other tabs open. So yeah, start checking this stuff out now. It's totally fine. If you have questions about any of the things that we've mentioned, also ask us. It's totally fine. Okay, so and one more resource that I want to mention, this guide to remote internships informs a lot of the content to the Internships 101 Successfully Navigate Your Remote Internship event. So this was also researched and built out and designed by our career peer interns, including Vanchika. So again, you can access this, just follow the steps here on the slide, you can download it. And this speaks a little bit more to like the logistics of working remotely and having a remote internship, whereas today is more about how are you making the most of it as like a young professional and like steps that you can take. Okay, so really just want to start getting into the meat of the content for today, which is how can you make the most of your internship? And really what we want you to think about is focusing on what is in your control versus what is not. And so yay, congrats. Once you get that internship, that's going to be super exciting for you. Want to acknowledge that, a lot of work. goes into that. So make sure that when you do get that internship, you pat yourself on the back, take it all in. But what really matters is everything that you're going to do next. And so you're going to want to start thinking about what can you intentionally do to make sure that you get the most out of the internship. And so, as it says on the slide, not all internships are created equal. And there's going to be a lot of variables that definitely impact the experience that you have. And so those can be as much as companies never had an internship before, and this is their first time hosting interns. The intern manager is new to their position and they're learning at the same time as you. Versus some companies, like, they love internships. They have a dedicated team to running internship programs. They're like scientific and nerdy about it, and it's very well-oiled, run machine, and super high quality. So you just never know what you're going to get. And so again, we really just want you to think about, okay, so all of those things are out of my control. What is it that I can do to make sure that I get the most out of the internship? And so that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. And so really, we just want to start by thinking, okay, I got the internship. I know my start date is. They told me that on my first day. I'm logging in at, 10 o'clock on Tuesday. I don't have to worry about anything until then. They're just going to tell me everything I have to do. Cool. We want you to flip that. And we really want you to think about, okay, so instead of just like showing up and letting them tell me how my experience is going to be and them controlling what it is, what can I do? So we're going to be focusing on how you can show up with goals in mind to make sure that you get the most out of your internship. Okay, so why goals? Goals are important. As we mentioned, internships, they're very varied as far as what the experience can be. And a lot of them will not have or provide you with the same sort of structure or experience that you may be used to getting, especially as students, right? And so, well, I'm far removed from being a student, but all of you have been in school for a while now, since kindergarten, and you know when you start your day at a certain time, you know that you have classes at a certain time, you know when your assignments are due. And at college, you have a syllabus that you follow, right? And so some companies, they've actually adopted that model and they actually create like an internship syllabus. Awesome, but a lot of them are not going to. And so really, it's up to you how you structure your time. And so by coming up with some goals, you're going to be able to be in a little bit more of the driver's seat in setting, okay, when am I working? What am I getting done today? What's most important, etc. Anything you'd like to add to this, Vanchika?
Yeah, just like speaking from my own experience, I was kind of fortunate enough to have a company which had like a very structured internship process. And I know some of you might have been in that situation as well. For me, what I experienced was, while it was really structured, there were so many things I could do. It was kind of overwhelming. So for me, like, Alexis and I actually had a discussion before my internship to kind of help me formulate my own goals for the internship. And that helped me kind of pick and choose which opportunities I want to focus my attention and energy on so that I could get the most benefit for myself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And really, I'm so excited that we do have Vanchika joining us today, because I feel like she's lived this and she exemplifies like everything that one should do to make sure that you do maximize your internship experience. So I'm just so glad that we have her joining us today. Okay, so hopefully, again, you're going to get this deck later. Maybe you come back to this and look at it, but thought that we might share like, how can you attack this goal setting process? You know that you have an internship coming up. What are you doing even before it starts to set yourself up for success? And so absolutely come back and look at this before, during, and after. Make adjustments. Do whatever works best for you. And so really, if you're thinking about setting goals, look at these two different boxes. The one is perspective. So through which perspective are you setting goals? One perspective is, how are you adding value to the company? Why does that matter? Because that's going to make you stand out as an intern, make it more likely that you get an offer. and or have glowing recommenders to have at your disposal when you are applying to other internships. The other perspective is, what are your personal goals? And so what is it that you're trying to get out of this internship? So those are some two perspectives. And then goal types: resume, networking, and personal. And so what we're going to do, personal brand. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into each of those 3 goal types so you know what they are. And we're also going to share you some examples so you can see like, well, what are you talking about? What does this mean? And so absolutely, Vanshika exemplified this. We just want to say, make sure as much as possible, if you're like writing this out or putting in a spreadsheet or writing in your journal, whatever you're doing, try and make them measurable. And also try to give your goals quantifiable targets or timelines. And so again, over the next few slides, you're going to see what we mean. Okay, so the first type of goal is resume goals. And so these are things that you're literally going to put on your resume, right? So things that make an impact, that are impressive to future companies, future recruiters, future employers, that also establish you as a subject matter expert. And that will add value to a future company that you might want to work for. And so here are a few examples. As you can see, they are measurable and or they have some sort of a timeline attached to them. Is there anything you'd like to add, Vanshika?
I think this mostly covers it. I guess like this could also encompass like any kind of like Excel experience you gain like throughout your internship, any new softwares you've learned how to use, because a lot of companies have like their own programs. So being able to like adapt and learn those types of things is also kind of like encompassed within like resume goals.
I mean, absolutely. And so again, if you say again, like you complete one internship, you're either applying for another internship or you're searching for another job, and you've got that position description in front of you, they're telling you what they want. They're saying we want someone who knows how to do this, this, and this, and has these types of skills. And so if your internship gives you the opportunity, like say you were like somewhat familiar using this first example with a job, they allowed you to use it on the daily. And so you leveled up your level of comfort with it, your creativity with how to apply it, and then maybe used it to establish some sort of process improvement or something like that, right? And so the more that you can like power up your current level of understanding of software or any sort of soft skills, that's only going to amplify your level of competitiveness on your resume for that next opportunity that you are applying for. So that's really where we're going to be savvy about this. And this is going back to the perspective is like, what are my personal goals, right? But also, this one hits both. It's also how are you adding value to the company, because you're not only leveling up your skills, but you're also adding value by taking the initiative to level up your skills to then apply whatever that is to add value to the company. And that can be also demonstrated through your bullet points. Okay.
Just wanted to take a quick pulse check with our attendees. Do you guys have any questions? Like feel free to drop it in the chat and then we'll answer them as we go as well. Cool.
Thank you for doing that, Vanshika. Really appreciate it. Yeah, today's content is kind of, I'd say, a little dry, and I'm glad that you all are here tuning in. However, I think that once we send you out the deck, like it's just going to be a great resource for you to have at your disposal when it works best for you to look back at and use. So it's okay if you don't have anything to add right now, but just thank you for joining us. So the second type of goal is networking goals. And so really this is all about building those relationships that will benefit you beyond the internship. Of course, it will benefit you during the internship, but really like one of the biggest like benefits of an internship is the fact that you get to grow your network. And so here are a few examples. Vanshika, is there anything you'd like to add from your personal experience?
Yeah, so quite often, again, like depending on the structure of your internship, the kind of company you're working with, um, you might have like pre-planned networking events, socials with your team, stuff like that. But quite often that might not be something that's like implemented by the company. So always just like, take the initiative, reach out to people, be it like professionals or interns, just to like, keep meeting new people, and, like learn from their experiences as well.
And I would also add, I mean, just looking at these bullet points, if I were internship curious or still seeking, like I might be a little scared by some of these. And so these are just examples, like add 50 new connections sounds like a lot, especially maybe if you're interning for a small company. And so you're going to tweak these, right, as relevant to your personal experience. But I also just want to remind you that companies have interns for a reason, and they know that you're there to learn and to make connections. And so what I will say is that you're very unlikely to get like not accepted for a coffee chat request. No one's gonna not accept your connection, especially if you send a little message saying, "Oh, I'm an intern. It was so great to meet you at this," blah, 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 right? So just know, like, this is part of the deal. Like, this is what having an internship is all about.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Always play the intern card because people are always willing to like help people who are new. Again, like this applies to like an internship, but also when you guys like go into like entry level jobs, always play the new person card because people are really willing to help you in that case.
And then like, the more we talk about it, the more I just want to like just emphasize this is really important. If we're not connecting personally via coffee chats or over projects or taking the initiative, as the third bullet point says, to like connect with your cohort, folks aren't going to get to know you. And so much of the internship and the job search comes down to who you know, who's telling you about opportunities, who's putting in a good word for you, who's serving as a reference. Um, so just make sure that you're putting the effort in to increase your network during your internship.
I also wanted to add, I know like it's even for me, like it was definitely weird randomly reaching out to people, especially if they weren't like in my team or in my like service line or whatever. But as I'm sure like most internships have like a point of contact for you. Maybe it's your supervisor, maybe it's like a mentor that you've been assigned. Reach out to them and make that a regular connection, and always just like feel free to ask them if they have anyone they'd suggest you reach out to given your interests in XYZ or something like that.
Yeah. And also, like, depending upon what that relationship is like with your supervisor, they may also, or you can ask them to be like, can you send an intro email? And then they can kick it off for you. And then you can follow up with the thanks for introducing us. I'd really love to meet up with you for a coffee chat or whatever. Okay. Okay, so the third goal is brand goals. And this is all about your personal brand and positioning yourself as someone who's part of this field, someone who knows their stuff, someone who is an up and coming young professional. And so these are also things that you can do both before, during, and after your internship. And here are a few examples. Vanshika, from your personal experiences or anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, quite. It might be a possibility that your internship has like training opportunities as well. So that's another way you can like get like certifications with the company. I know my company had like training programs through which we could get like internal certificates.
Mm-hmm.
And your company might have a similar thing, or you could also, again, like bring these things up to your supervisor, be like, I want to practice public speaking. I want to learn how to like deliver an effective presentation. Where can I find that opportunity? Or is there a time during this internship where I could like observe meetings and stuff like that? Mm-hmm. So like just like either being in an observational space or like a place where you can practice and you're like advocating for yourself to like build those skills is always going to work out for you.
And again, a lot of these, I think all three of these examples, honestly, they hit both of those goal perspectives, which is how can I add value to the company? but also how can I add value for myself? And so a lot of companies love to showcase their interns. It makes them look good. And so they love to share that they're incoming class. They love for interns who are looking forward to starting their internship to post about that. It's basically free positive advertising for them as a company. So it's win-win. Don't be afraid to do it. The same thing goes for that first example, like adding something to the company blog, if that's an opportunity. Again, it makes everybody look good. If you're completing a certification, as Vanshika mentioned, that is something that they either built in-house or that they provide you with time and or support, like even money to get. Again, that is win-win. So the good thing about branding goals is it sort of like pats everyone on the back and it invites you into the community. You're joining community now. All right. So we just want to, again, do like a little pulse check and maybe do a quick activity. If you are sitting at home and you've got your phone or you've got a piece of paper near you, we just want you to maybe just practice writing out a goal. It can be a resume, a networking, or a brand goal. And if you are so inclined, I do know we have a small group, but if you're so inclined and you want to share one of your goals in the chat, we'd love to see it. So we're just gonna hang out for like a minute or so while you do that. And Vanshika, if there's any goals that you want to drop in the chat to kick us off, that would be awesome.
Yeah, actually, I think I remember one of my goals from when I started my internship. It was to do with like a networking goal, and my goal was connect with at least one person in like a different department, like over the course, because it was like harder to like find people from like different departments in that case. So I like had that goal to kind of like diversify the experience that I'm hearing about. So that was one of my networking goals.
Did you achieve it? How did that go?
I did. It was actually quite interesting because I was put in like one industry department, but my mentor was in a different one. So I kind of like asked them about that experience and then had them like connect me with a couple of other people or like mention names that they would recommend I reach out to. So I did that, and I was able to connect with like a lot of different people, especially through like training as well, since that was like a whole group thing that was happening regardless of department.
That's awesome. So I'm glad that you shared that you had a goal. It was measurable. You shared that you had the goal with your supervisor and then they helped you achieve it. One thing that I'll add specifically about your goal is that this is a practice. It's a best practice in general to get into doing as a professional. It doesn't matter at what level, at what point in your career you are, especially within, say, like the first 30 to 60 days, starting a new position or at a new job. I have seen it as a best practice that folks make it a point to set up meetings with folks to connect with them personally, to learn a little bit more about what they do, to gather information, hear context, so that they actually get up to speed quicker on what's going on. They can figure out what's the pulse of what's going on in the company. They can learn about things like landmines that they wouldn't have known existed if someone didn't share that with them. So there's just so many benefits to reaching out and having those conversations, and doing this starting off as an intern. It's a great practice to get into. Okay, so if you want to share any of your goals in the chat, we'd love to see them. If not, that's also okay. Thanks for listening to Vanshika and I share some of ours, and hopefully you wrote one out and you feel good about it. All right. Oh, so something's not showing. I'm going to try and see what happens when I click on show anyway. So it's a blank slide. Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to skip on to the next slide. But essentially what you missed, which you can check out by connecting with Vanshika on LinkedIn and looking at her previous activity in her posts, is how she demonstrated achieving some of these goals by posting on LinkedIn about her experience as an intern at EY. So Vanchika, I'm sorry that the slide didn't work, but
No worries.
you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I think actually I can get to the posts like in my after section as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, so we're kind of at the end of our content. Here are some additional tips. A lot of these came from Vanchika herself, so I'd love it if you share them with us, Vanchika.
Of course, yeah. So this is kind of like a timelined set of action items that you can take. This was kind of similar to what I kind of, or like how I progressed throughout my internship as well. So this is like tried and tested information. So before you begin, when you get that offer, update any like contacts that you have at the company, be it recruiters that kind of like guided you through the process, any professionals you connected with, either at like info sessions, through LinkedIn for informational interviews, stuff like that. Just reach out to them, thank them for their time, let them know that you have the internship, and always just ask them if you can stay connected with them throughout the internship for any questions you have, because you've already made that connection, you have a personal relationship with them, and they are probably willing to help you throughout the internship and help you like navigate that process. So, like going into the internship, you do have people you can rely on, and it's good to like keep in touch with them. You can always also announce that you got the internship or update your job on LinkedIn. It's another way to just inform your network about the opportunities you're involved in and let them know what you're up to. Mm-hmm. So this is like pre-internship stuff. And of course, like work on your goals, try to like see what they have planned for you if possible. And then, like write up some goals for yourself and see how to go about them by having some like action items to achieve each of those goals. During the internship, of course, networking is very important. Even if they're like optional welcome events or talks, attend them. Mm-hmm. It kind of helps you understand the company culture, what kind of people work there. You can connect with like other interns since they will be attending like welcome sessions as well. Take notes on everything. So I had 2 sets of notes. I had like a journal with me, which was like by my laptop all the time. And then I also had an Excel sheet. The Excel sheet kind of like tracked all the people I met because we were just like thrown into it. And there was just like all these names, all these faces, these people telling us to connect with them on LinkedIn. And it was like hard for me to keep track because I'm not the best with names. So I had like a little Excel sheet going. I had their emails if they shared those with us. I had their LinkedIns, and then I just had information about whether or not I reached out to them. Sorry, I was just reading the chat. Okay, so I had that Excel spreadsheet, and then I had a journal with me, which kind of kept track of all the assignments and tasks I was working on. So they like assigned me a different thing every day or every 2 days. And I like made notes on what I was doing so that I could use that information to like update my resume, because a lot of your bullet points will be about the tasks and like assignments you worked on. So that kind of helped me keep track and also just like remember all the like nitty gritty of like what I had to finish for the assignment. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would suggest, like take notes. There's going to be a lot of information thrown at you and you kind of want to be on top of that. Check in with your supervisor or your boss, either through chat or if you have like morning calls, whatever like is their culture. Clarify that when you start and like see what they're comfortable with. Check whether they're comfortable talking over email or like DM and like see what kind of communication platform they use at the company. And yeah, set up one-on-ones maybe every week to kind of see how you're doing, see what kind of opportunities you want to gain. Always bring those up to your supervisor because they will be the ones who can, like advocate for you or like direct you in the right place or like to the right people to get those skills and opportunities. So yeah, I would definitely recommend keeping in touch with your supervisor throughout. You know, like have fun with it, meet new people, connect with them via LinkedIn. If you have like a group of interns you got to know, set up like lunch breaks with them. You can like all hop on and like eat together or have coffee together. I did a lot of that with my own intern group. And, you know, you had to take some initiative to like start a schedule going and stuff like that. But everyone's there to like get to know each other. So they're definitely going to be willing to schedule a time to meet with you as well. Yeah, and also like keep going back to the goals you outlined for yourself initially and kind of like see how you're doing, see if you need to tweak anything based on what you learn about the company, and like if you have any additional goals, like keep adding them. And yeah, just like track your progress. And after the internship, just like make sure to thank everyone, including your supervisor, the other interns, just like find a way to connect with them even after the internship, like if you still want to continue meeting, like virtually meeting them, and post on it. So as Alexis mentioned, I had posted about my EY internship after I had finished, and that kind of, and you can also like go on my LinkedIn and check it out. But that kind of had a list of things I worked on. It had like the kind of projects I worked on, not giving away too much information, of course, because confidentiality, but like, you know, like I worked on a research project. I like earned certain certifications. I talked about that. I talked about the people I connected with and how much I enjoyed getting to know them. So that's just another way to kind of inform your network about everything you've achieved or all the experiences you've had throughout your internship, and add it to your resume. And yeah, those are just like some tips and like actionable steps that you can take to make the most of your internship.
Thank you for going over all of these and sharing some of those personal anecdotes with us, Vanshika. I just want to say someone submitted a question to the Q&A and I cannot see it. So if you would like us to respond to that, Vanshika, if you can see it, but if not, please type it into the chat. We would love to be able to respond to your question.
Oh, I can see it.
Okay.
So it says, is it possible to arrange accommodation during an internship, such as duration, schedule, etc., in the middle of an internship?
So I'm going to break that up into two pieces. As far as accommodation in general, especially since most internships are remote right now, the only reason an internship wouldn't be remote is if you're providing essential service, or if there's some sort of clearance, depending upon location, because you could be interning in a different country, right, or another state. And so with remote comes a lot of flexibility. And so that's why even on this slide, when I said check in with your supervisor every morning, like it's check in when you start working. Like all of the students that are interns for the Career Center, we just have them check in when they start working on Slack. And that's just so that we know when they're there. And so absolutely, like you should see quite a bit of flexibility about when you work, how long you work, how often you work, but you are going to need to get clarity and check in about what's okay and what's expected from your internship host. And so some of that will be clearly stated in the position description, like you must work this many hours a week, for example. And if they're super explicit, they might even say work 3 times a week, 4-hour shifts. I don't know. But these are things that you can ask during the selection process. So absolutely, that should all be sort of like a given. I did hear though that there's a piece of this question which was in the middle of or during the internship. So again, part of this relationship that you're building with your supervisor is self-advocating and them also wanting to make sure that you're having a positive experience. So if you're finding that, for example, they said, it's okay, Vanshika, you came in, you said, we want you to work 10 hours and you decided you wanted to do 2 5-hour shifts and your Vanshika this isn't working for me anymore. Is it okay if I break it up into working 3 times a week? Bring it up to your supervisor. Most likely, unless there's a very good reason, they're going to be able to accommodate you. So absolutely, it should be something you can bring up. Do you want to add anything, Vanchika?
No, I think you've kind of hit on it. Just like speaking from my own experience, while I was interning virtually, I also was taking a class, so I had a final like the morning of when I like the morning of until like 10 a.m. And we usually start to work around like 8 or 9. So I was like gonna miss a couple of hours, and they were like definitely very accommodating since it was, you know, like a class and you can't like reschedule a final. So yeah, they were very understanding. And if you have, you know, scheduling conflicts, I'm sure they'll adjust to that.
I'm so glad to hear that they were able to accommodate you. So for the person who submitted that question, please let us know if we did not adequately respond to it, but hopefully that was helpful. For the folks that are still with us, if you have specific questions, now's the time. Like, add that into the chat. You can send it directly and we can read it for you, or you can type it into the chat so everyone can see it. It doesn't matter. And we'll just wait for a few minutes to see if any of those come through. In the meanwhile, I'm just gonna chat on a little bit more. And so I just want to add that especially this additional tips slide, during your internship, like as an introvert, I'm like, oh, this sounds really uncomfortable. This sounds really tiring. And so what I will say, speaking as an introvert, if that's you, is I encourage you to challenge yourself and to embrace some of this discomfort that it might bring, and to go into the internship again thinking about, how do I add value and what am I going to get out of this? And hustle. An internship is all about hustling, making a good impression, putting yourself into situations that may not be comfortable, and rising to the challenge. And the more that you can do that, the better impression you're going to make, the more likely, again, folks are going to get to know you. They're going to become familiar with you. They're going to advocate for you. They're going to be champions for you, either with internal opportunities or also with external opportunities. And that applies not only to the people that work at the company, but to your fellow interns, because they're going to go off and you're not all going to get offers, right, at that company. You will want them or you won't want them, but however that happens or doesn't happen, they're going to go off and have other internships, other jobs. Those are going to be ins for you at other companies. And so definitely put yourself out there, but practice self-care. So if you're an introvert like me, what do you need to do to recover from a full day of interning and coursework, etc.? Take a bath, go for a walk, factor in breaks while you're working, because again, internships are remote right now. And we don't have some of those natural breaks that used to happen when you went to go grab coffee, or you walked to go to the kitchen to make your lunch, or whatever it was that you did. So take care of yourself, but challenge yourself is what I would say, especially as an introvert. Okay, any sort of like last words that you want to leave the group with, Vanchika, before we end?
I think you very well, like you kind of like went over like the introvert thing as well. I was like super nervous myself because I get like really flustered when I talk in front of like a group or like to like new people. So just like to reiterate what you said, have fun with your internship. Like these are like opportunities you can only have as like a student. There's like fewer like intern like shorter duration kind of like experiences that you can have like once you grow up. So I would highly recommend just like make the most of it. As Alexis said, just like put yourself out there. I personally find it less intimidating to do so when it's virtual, because you're in the comfort of your own home, in your apartment. You're surrounded by your pets or your family or your roommates. So it's definitely
on the bottoms.
it's definitely a more comfortable space. So like use that to kind of just like push yourself to reach out to people and kind of like have that new experience virtually. Oh, we have a question. What would be a helpful tip for in-person internships because it is more likely to happen as more vaccines are distributed throughout the year?
So are you asking for general tips or is there something specific that you want some more information on, Enoch? Let us know. Absolutely, though, you are right. As the vaccinations happen, okay, general tips, expectations. So honestly, what I would say is that everything that we have shared during today applies to in-person internships just as much as to remote internships. And so I would just say, please refer back to the content, any notes that you took during today's event. It's only going to assist you during either remote or an in-person internship. If we didn't get at what you meant, please put some more in the chat for us. Okay, so as you can see, we are at the end of our time together today. These are some ways that you can remain connected with the UCLA Career Center and also access our resources. That first link, like just go to our website, click on undergrad and virtual services. We want that one to be shared just because that's where you can see the different ways that you can access one-on-one appointments with our staff, because we have drop-ins and appointments, and through this link is where you can actually find out how you can connect into drop-ins. And those are Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're 15 minutes, and you'll receive one-on-one support from either a full-time professional or one of our career peer interns like Vanshika on general resume, cover letter, and job and internship search, and there's no appointment required, which is awesome. Okay, Hannah asks, will there be a confirmation of attendance email like last time? Hannah, are you asking about, are we gonna send you sort of like a follow-up email if you were someone who RSVP'd for this event? Is that what you mean? And is it something that you need? I will say that what we are going to do is we are going to send an email out to anybody who RSVP'd, whether or not you attended or you just RSVP'd, with this deck attached. And then as we mentioned at the beginning of today's event, it is being recorded. And so definitely check back to the Career Center's YouTube. We try to upload them every Friday. And so it should absolutely be recorded by next Friday, if not this Friday. Hopefully that answers your question, Hannah. Okay, so if there aren't any additional questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. If you can think of other questions, definitely send them via email to that questions@career.ucla.edu. You can also connect with me or Vanchika on LinkedIn and ask us additional questions. We'd be more than happy to support you in any way that we can. All right, thank you so much for joining us, everybody.
Thanks for coming in.